Got to be so far away.
We're good. Welcome, everybody. This is John Doerr with my good friend and colleague, David Yurkofsky. Immigration.
Hello, everybody.
David Yurkofsky, internationally renowned, international world traveler, quarterfinalist in the most recent Miami Beach Open tournament. David Yurkofsky. David, welcome.
Match tough. And you got to be tough for match tough. And you got to be tough to be an immigration lawyer. You have to have persistence. And if you want to be an immigrant, you also have to be tough and persistent, because there are so many hurdles we have to jump through as lawyers and as the immigrants. So if you have gone for your immigrant visa interview and you have been approved, congratulations, because you have passed so many hurdles. Employment-based, the labor certification process, the employer, the I-140, and then the DS-260 with the National Visa Center and the Department of State. So that means you have passed hurdles with the U.S. Department of Labor, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Department of Homeland Security, and finally, the Department of State for your National Visa Center processing, and then your in-person interview with the State Department officials at the U.S. consulate, where you probably brought with you a medical exam up to date just before your interview, along with your, you submitted all your documents, and now they're interviewing you and making sure you're a candidate. And even after you've passed all those hurdles, folks, they could still put you into administrative processing, which could be 180 days, sometimes more, and you may not know why. And it may just be a bureaucratic problem, or maybe they're double checking something that happened to you in your past when you had a traffic ticket or something to do with police. Your name popped up, or maybe they called your boss and he didn't answer. She didn't answer, your future boss in America. They didn't answer the phone, and they want to make sure that that job is really there waiting for you in the United States. And it's kind of insane, because when you pass the Department of Labor portion, that means there's an immediate shortage of American workers. And yet, by the time you get to this passing of the interview at the U.S. consulate, how many years might have gone by, John? At least a year and a half, 2.5, possibly 3 years.
That's right.
Even though the job was approved as a shortage occupation 3 years ago when they certified the PERM step 1. Now, for immediate relative cases, it's not quite as no Department of Labor. You still have U.S. Immigration Services with your I-130 and your affidavits of support and all that. And then the visa processing with the Department of State. So finally, they say you're approved, and you receive an email, you've been approved, you receive a packet, and you're still not done, because now they say on that visa, it's an immigrant visa, in your passport, there's an approval date, and it's valid for, is that 6 months, John?
6 months, that's right.
6 months, 180 days. You have to enter the United States within those 180 days. And before you enter the United States, before you get on that airplane, you have to read the instructions. You have to pay another fee. I think it's $230 US, so that USCIS in the US will issue your green card. And they will not process that green card until you pay and until you've entered the US. I think when you enter the US, the Customs and Border, like, it's reflected in the system, and then they'll issue your green card. Does that sound right?
That's right.
And the green card will come in the mail. Green card will come in the mail. And when you enter the United States with that U.S. approved immigrant visa in your passport, you should make sure your passport, when you go, well, I'm sure you probably knew this already, but your passport should be valid for at least 6 months. If your passport's going to expire in less than 6 months, before you go for your interview at the U.S. consulate, you should renew your passport. because otherwise it could reduce the time. Also, if your medical expires, you may only have 3 months to come to the United States because it goes by the expiration date on your medical, actually. So it usually isn't a full 6 months. And when you arrive in the United States, you're going to be asked to one more time to have another interview. And I think they put you in the back room, right, John? There's a back room. You get to the airport and they say, come this way. And they check your immigrant visa and they make sure you're you. And hopefully after 10 or 15 minutes, they say, welcome to America. You're a U.S. permanent resident. And then they're supposed to stamp your passport with something called an I551. That's I551. Evidence that you are a U.S. permanent resident, also known as someone who has green card status. Green card, it's not really green. And that I-551 stamp, even if you never received a green card in the mail, you haven't received it yet, it's valid for 1 year. It's in your passport. It's basically like another way of having a green card, but it's only a stamp in your passport, and you can travel all over the world where you're, wherever you can. Come back to the United States, you have to have a valid passport that hasn't expired, and that not the visa. The next time you travel, you're not traveling in with the immigrant visa. Next time you travel, you're traveling with this I-551 stamp that's valid for 365 days. So you enter the United States, you get that stamp, and the address that you provided when you paid your green card production fee, let's call it that, the actual, like your driver's license with your photo ID on it and all your, barcodes that they put on the back with your biometrics, you will receive that in about 2 months at the address that you listed. It could be faster, it could be slower, it could be a few weeks that the green card. So you have to watch the mail. And if you're not at the address that you provided when you paid that fee for the green card production, someone needs to be watching your mail. It's going to be, an official looking envelope, and in there will be your green card. And then you should take a picture of the front and back side of your green card and email it to yourself, email it to your lawyer, email it to your spouse, your best friend, so you have a copy of it. In case you lose it, at least you'll have a copy of the front and back sides. So it's kind of like a driver's license. So even if you lose it, you're still a U.S. permanent resident. You don't lose your U.S. permanent residence just because you lost your green card, because that's part of you. It's attached to your body. How was that?
Excellent, excellent. And so how long, once you get the green card, David, how long is it good for?
I believe, well, the card itself, I think these days, there was one time where they didn't expire and they looked like they were written by hand at the swim club, Now it's very high tech and with barcodes and all that, and they're valid for 10 years. Now, what happens if you don't renew your green card after 10 years? Does that mean you lose your permanent No. But if you lose it, I had one client who was actually part of a famous rock band, and for whatever reason, his green card had expired 15 years, 20 years already. But he was just hanging out in New York, doing whatever he was doing. He didn't leave the country. He didn't even because if you lose your green card, you can't get an I-551 stamp. But I think they might not give you that stamp. You have to make an appointment at what's called USCIS, used to be known as INS. USCIS, they have offices in every major city. And you have to usually show them that you applied to replace your lost or stolen green card, and you'll have a filing receipt. When they see that, they'll give you another 6 months. That's if you try not to lose your green card. Legally speaking, you're supposed to carry it with you at all times. And yes, I was at an immigration lecture where they said you should carry it when you're swimming in the ocean on vacation, which I think is ridiculous. These days, they've gotten a little nicer about it because everyone has cell phones with amazing cameras. And I've heard stories where you lost the card while you were traveling, and you show the front and back side in the photo on your cell phone, and they'll accept that because the quality is just, it's clearly real. You know, they can zoom in and make sure that that is a real green card and not some kind of fake. You know, it's very hard to fake this stuff now. So if you have a really good picture of it, that could come in handy. One buddy of mine who was a lawyer, they lost their passports flying back from Europe to America, as well as their Swiss chocolate. And luckily, he had photos of the passports for himself, his wife, and 3 kids. He's a U.S. citizen. The wife and kids had just got, well, the kids were U.S. citizens. One was not. I think one was born abroad. And the wife was French. So they had those pictures. Otherwise, you know, how do you know? So
yeah, very important.
Really important, but try not to lose your green card. If you did lose your green card, you would file, I think it's called an I-90, green card replacement form.
That's right. That's right.
Also, when you get your green card, take a look at it and make sure. I had one client who finally got her green card and they spelled her name wrong. Now, how they spelled her name wrong is beyond me, because they're supposed to be copying it from the passport. But a lot of foreign non-US names have a lot of letters and they're unusual. Also, I had one client where John, this is theoretically possible these days, but they listed like John as a woman. So he had to file an I-90 and say, this is USCIS error. Never said I was a woman, never claimed I was a woman, not that there's anything wrong with my, but sounds like Seinfeld. You don't have to pay the fee if they make a mistake on your green card. Like if you get the green card in the mail and there's a mistake, that's their fault. You don't have to pay the fee. You have to say service error. There's a box you can click. The problem is it could take 6 months before you get that new green card. They're not usually very fast about it, are they, John?
No, they're not. There's no and there's no premium processing, unfortunately, yet for that form.
That card.
That card, yeah, for that
Yeah.
I-90. So, but this is this is great, valuable information, David.
So many hurdles. I mean, and it's tougher. Like if you lose your driver's license, it doesn't mean you're not like an approved driver, but you need to have that license to show the police if they pull you over. Although again, if you have it on your phone, a nice cop might be okay with that, but you're supposed to, they want to see the original driver's license usually. And I think technically under federal law, if you're not carrying your green card, it's like a felony or something. This has never been enforced as far as I know. They have so many laws written down, some that are, it's like that. But so you should carry your green card, obviously, when you're traveling internationally. Even around the country, I probably want to travel. If you're going out for a jog, I don't know. I'm not going to tell people what to do, because if you lose it, it's a real pain in the neck. You got to do the I-90. You got to wait months and months to get the green card back and pay a fee. At least with a driver's license, you can go online usually. Because I haven't done this in years, but John, have you? If you lose your driver's license, you go online, you enter your info, and you pay for a replacement, and they will mail you a new driver's license. And in the meantime, there'll be a PDF that you can print out, like a temporary proof, and you can drive with that piece of. You can't do that with a. I mean.
No, but your advice to make copies, have a clear copy on your phone. Always send our office a copy. We request that so we have it on file in case you need it. So yeah, this has been great, David.
And the only final thing I'll say is if you've got your green card, your permanent United States permanent residence through employment, after 5 years, actually a little before, but let's just say 5 years. After 5 years, you can then apply for U.S. citizenship, and you don't have to deal with any of this anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you lose your U.S. passport, then you have to apply for it. It never ends, whether you're a U.S. citizen or green card holder, or there's always government hoops that we all have to jump through.
That's right. That's right.
That's just the way it goes in modern society.
This has been great. Yeah, there were so many things to talk about. This is an important one, and we'll continue in this series of steps in the immigration process. So until next time, stay safe, everybody. Let us know. Leave a comment below if there's anything that you want to hear us talk about. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care.
And I'll just do a little shout out to John. If you're, John and I have been doing PERM applications for years together, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of PERMs for all kinds of jobs. So if you're someone who doesn't have a green card yet, we might be able to help you if you have an employer who wants to sponsor you. And it can be any kind of job, really. You don't have to have a college degree necessarily. It can be, just about any job in the world, really. If we can show there's a shortage, that's a whole nother topic. Or if you're, marrying a U.S. citizen, or you're marrying a green card holder. Also, we'll see what happens with this new Biden expansion of the DACA principle, where if you're someone who might have come into the country without permission or overstayed and you're married to a U.S. citizen, apparently they're going to let you apply for a green card now. I'm not sure how they did that without an act of Congress, because it's not in the law, but the president declared it. And so, folks, there's a lot happening in this world, and we'll try and keep you informed. And we wish you the best of luck in your immigration adventure, let's say. And, until next time, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, David.